Welcome back. Transport Minister Nqobile Madlala says the chaos caused by truck drivers on the N3 will not be tolerated. Yesterday, motorists spent several hours on the road after disgruntled drivers blocked the highway in both directions on Van Rienens's Pass in KwaZulu-Natal. Their complaints include the hiring of foreign nationals and high fuel costs. Our reporter, Nqobile Madlala, is following that story and joins us now for more. So, Nqobile, Transport Minister Nqobile Madlala has spoken strongly against the blocking of the N3 by truck drivers. Tell us a little bit more about how he elaborated on the issue.
Well, Anli, I think one of the major issues that he was very concerned about was the fact that he was on the table with some of the truck companies and they were trying to mitigate and come up with solutions when the protest broke out. And he says he is worried about this because, of course, they were getting to a point where he feels that they were finding each other, but instead they found themselves with a problem. But he's saying also this is equal to an economic sabotage. I mean, we've already seen how COVID has battered the economy, and also he's saying now issues of the goods being taken from the coast into the inland now rose from that protest that they saw with the trucks being on the ground and not moving. So very worried indeed there. But what is clear about Annalie is that he's saying that anarchy will not be tolerated. At some point they'll have to bring in police that will have to use perhaps measures that might be harder than being on the table. But let's listen in to the minister as he explains further.
There will be a justifiable act for anyone who blocked the road to be dealt with, because that equals to economic sabotage. So it does not mean that we have closed our ears and we have not been talking to the trucking industry.
Nqobile, the issue of foreign drivers is not a new one. Many people are saying that the blockades we are seeing at the moment and the devastating financial impact they have on many businesses and sectors is directly attributable to government's failure to deal with proper rules and regulations governing the employment of foreign nationals. Take us through what the minister said about the drivers' grievances.
Well, I think at this time it's very clear, Annalie. He's saying that most of their grievances and what they've gone through is understandable, and he understands that they are valid and obviously close to heart in this extent. But what he's saying is that he is working on the plan, of course, with some of the stakeholders, which will include Labour and Home Affairs, that will be working on these issues that have been highlighted. He's talking about the fact that they are going to be looking at documentation of the drivers, and of course that will speak to that foreign national drivers, that there will no issues around visas, permits to be on the road, so they will work around that. But what he's also clear about is that he's not just working with these task team to see the problems of just the truckers, but also the trucking companies. So he's saying that they are going to be looking at these issues, but they're also going to sign a document to ensure that this does not happen again and that they don't find themselves in this situation consistently as it has been happening in the past. But what he's saying also is that it's better for them to find each other around the table than to be on the streets fighting on the opposite ends. Let's listen in for some further explanation.
The first one is the enforcement of the visa requirement and the issuance of the work permit. And the expected outcome on this particular matter is the restriction of the use of temporary visas for employment as truck drivers, and investigate the issuing of work permits. And the commitment in this regard is that we'll invite the relevant department to conduct information session on this particular matter of work permits.
That was reporter Nqobile Madlala bringing us that update on the truck blockade on the N3.